Welcome to Health News and Views, a podcast dedicated to bringing some clarity to the health disparities in the Black and Brown communities. If you believe there's a connection between food, sickness, and health, then you're in the right place. Let's begin the process of unraveling the truth. And now, your host, Lynn Pete.
Well, greetings and welcome back to another episode of Health News and Views, Food, the Final Frontier. Hi, I'm your host, Lynn Pete. Well, in today's episode, we're going to separate fact from fiction when it comes to food, diet, sickness, and health. We're going to tackle a theme that's as eye-opening as it's personal, but this is guilt by association. And the topic is, it's not the butter, it's the bread. With so many outlets available with information, it's becoming increasingly difficult to discern the truth. And I was given some advice many years ago that says, believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. And that was the mantra in my growing up years. And now with so much data, information, I still need to scrutinize what we're being told. We don't know which outlet to believe. You see, for decades, we've been told that certain foods are bad. Butter clogs your arteries, fat makes you fat, soup is healthy, apple juice is really good for you, and vegetable oil is much better than animal fats. But the truth, well, the devil's in the details, or more precisely, in the processing, pairing, and portioning of our foods. And today, we're setting the record straight with some powerful comparisons that'll make you think, what's really making us fat and sick? But first, the subject matter provided in this podcast or any of our other published documents is for informational purposes only. Food, the Final Frontier, and our partner, Health News and Views. We do not attempt to treat, diagnose, or cure any disease or condition. Always check with your healthcare provider before making any lifestyle, dietary, or prescription drug changes. And now, let's continue. Here we have a few products that have been falsely accused of a crime it did not commit. But the crime was believed by the masses because of faulty research. And many of the claims that we have come to know are guilty until proven innocent. But now, because of real-time communication and inexhaustible research and fact-checking, we have the truth. The truth is, it's not the butter. It's the bread. Let's start with that title. For many years, butter was blamed for heart disease. Our grocery store shelves began to load up with these light spreads and margarines that promised even better health. And some are still out there on the shelves, too. But later, it was discovered that these margarines had trans fats. Well, that's far worse for our hearts than even the butter ever was. Those oils and those margarines with the trans fat, these are seed oils. That's what the scientists call them, seed oils. And these better for us concoctions were actually more damaging than what was first thought or even known. They actually cause oxidation of our cells. And trans fats, that's even worse. The real culprit wasn't the butter. It was really the bread beneath the butter. Now, most of us will slather butter on white bread, biscuits, rolls, and from enriched and refined flour. And these refined carbs, that's really where the problem is. They break down quickly into sugar, spiking your blood glucose and flooding your bloodstream with insulin. Insulin surge tells your body to store fat, not burn it. Insulin can do both. It can burn the fat, and it can store it. But when it sees that much sugar coming in your bloodstream, the alert goes out. Store the fat. Store the fat. So while butter took the blame, it was really the bread quietly driving the weight gain and the insulin resistance. Real butter in moderation is good for you, especially from grass-fed cows containing vitamins A and K2 that actually support your heart health. So the next time, skip the white bread and spread that butter on a slice of whole grain instead. Now, you are going to have to look for it because most breads do include enriched wheat flour, enriched and bleached white flour. And also, you'll look for another ingredient that's in it. I may have remembered me mentioning that in a couple of podcasts back, is that if it has enriched wheat flour and another ingredient, folic acid, know that those two ingredients means store the fat and pack on the pounds. Okay, so just a few more. I have another one I wanted to mention to you. It's about the apple. It's not the apple. It's the apple juice. It's not the apple, but the juice? Yeah. The whole apple is a perfect example of nature's design in fiber, water, and natural sugars balanced in harmony. But when we strip away that fiber to make juice, we end up drinking a concentrated shot of fructose that hits the bloodstream almost as fast as a soda. And here's the kicker. It takes about 3 or 4 apples to make 1 cup of juice. Would you ever sit down and eat 4 apples at once? Probably not. I struggle with trying to get 2 down. But we'll sip that glass of juice in 30 seconds and call it healthy. Without fiber to slow down the absorption, your body sees juice as liquid sugar, and which can lead to insulin resistance and belly fat over time. So, the lesson? Eat the fruit and skip the juice. It's not the soup, it's the sodium. Another favorite, right? Soup sounds healthy, and it is, especially when it's labeled chicken noodle or vegetable. But some canned soups contain 900 milligrams of sodium per serving, and that's per cup, not per bowl. 900 milligrams of sodium. Consider that the body only requires, or actually requires less than 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day. And that is around about a teaspoon of sodium or salt. If you have 1 can of soup in a cup, 900 milligrams of that soup is just salt. Too much sodium pulls water into your bloodstream and what it does is it raises your blood pressure. And that starts putting a strain on the heart and the kidneys. Homemade soups made with fresh herbs, beans, and vegetables tell a totally different story, full of nutrition and low in salt. Why is that? Because you control the dose. The problem isn't the soup itself. It's the added to store-bought soup. There's some more hidden culprits, and let's look at a few more examples. It's not the coffee. It's the creamer. It's kind of like, it's not the heat, it's the humidity. Okay? And it's about the same thing. The coffee on its own is loaded with antioxidants, and it can even improve focus and metabolism. But one flavored creamer or syrup can transform that 10-calorie drink into a 400-calorie dessert in disguise. Many creamers include gums and emulsifiers to get that rich, creamery taste. And there's a popular brand that if I mentioned, you would know exactly what it is. This popular powder form, which I also noticed in the store, they have a liquid form too. But the original powder form of this creamer was put to the test on social media. But the guy who was doing the demonstration had a match, and he lit the powder. It blew up and showed its combustible features. So is that something you want to ingest? The caffeine isn't the problem oftentimes with the coffee. It's the chemical-laden sweetness and sweeteners poured into it. Now, if you want flavor, try cinnamon, vanilla extract, or even a splash of almond milk instead. And a decaf coffee, that's recommended for me and those like me who are still trying to work out our battle with hypertension and elevated blood pressure. It's not the salad, it's the dressing. We order salads to be healthy, but creamy dressings, bacon bits, croutons can double or triple the calories. You know, a Caesar salad can pack on just as many calories as a cheeseburger. You probably should have had that anyway. The greens are your friend, but the toppings are the trap. What are you going to do with that? Just go with olive oil and vinegar and lemon juice, or even make up your own homemade vinaigrette. Homemade salad dressings are awesome. And you get to choose all of the ingredients without the high fructose corn syrup, without the monosodium glutamate, without the salt. You kind of get the point, right? It's not the yogurt, but the sugar in the yogurt. Plain yogurt supports digestion and gut health, but fruit on the bottom versions can have as much sugar as ice cream. Always check your labels. You're better off adding your own fresh fruit. I opt for some frozen wild berries, blueberries, as a supplement to that yogurt that has the fruit in the bottom. And also add some chia seeds in that and let it sit overnight. It's wonderful in the morning with a little splash of cinnamon. Oh my goodness, very good. So here's the truth. It's not one food that's making us sick or fat. It's the way we process, combine, and even overconsume some of the foods. Real whole foods rarely harm us. But once those foods are refined, sweetened, or fried, they may lose their natural balance and take our health down with them. We live in a world that blames butter but praises margarine. Come on, really? Condemns salt but sells sodium-packed snacks, and then tells us to eat healthy yogurt loaded with sugar. Who's doing the research there? We praise artificial sweeteners that cause the body to crave sweets after we've had the artificial sweeteners. It's time that we see through the marketing and trust the simplicity of nature. If the packaging has to tell you it's all natural, chances are it's probably not. Okay. Here's something that you might want to consider when you're enjoying some of the fruits of the vine. Did you know that grapes are a wonderful sweet snack versus other fruits and candies that we might have? However, did you also know you can't give grapes to your pets? Grapes and grape seed extract are rich in antioxidants that support heart health. However, they're not good for dogs and cats. Grapes can cause kidney failure. Even a few can be deadly. What's the lesson here? What's healthy for humans can be harmful to other species. Coffee, again, can be an antioxidant, but it can also be something that we overload on. Coffee boosts alertness and metabolism, as previously mentioned, and it's also linked to our longevity. I don't know if you're aware of that. But too much caffeine can raise your blood pressure. It disturbs the sleep and can trigger anxiety. What's the lesson here? Even good things become bad in excess. Let's not overdo it. Tomatoes are good for some, but not for all. Tomatoes have lycopene, but it also has acid. So tomatoes are packed with this lycopene and a potent antioxidant linked to reducing cancer. However, for people with acid reflux or joint inflammation like rheumatoid or osteoarthritis, tomatoes can actually worsen your symptoms. So what's the lesson here? What heals one person may harm another. Bioindividuality matters. So what's good for the goose may not necessarily be good for the gander, okay? So the next time someone tells you what food is bad, pause and ask, is it the food itself, or is it what we've done to it? Remember, health begins when you start questioning what we've been told. Hey, listen, thanks for stopping by to yet another episode of Health News and Views, Food, the Final Frontier. And if you found this information interesting or helpful, you'd like to have more information, you want to have a personal visit or chat with me, please leave me a line at eating to stay well. That's all one word, eating to stay well at gmail.com. And just remember, this information is always available to you on the podcast. Remember and remain curious. Eat whole foods as often as possible. Live well. Remember to eat to live and not live to eat. And make it a powerful day. Peace.